Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of English Plus Podcast. I'm your host Danny, and joining me today is my co-host Phoenix. We have an enlightening agenda today that spans the spectrum of education, culture, science, technology, and a touch of mystery. So, let's get started.
That's right, Danny. Today we're kicking off the discussion with the pressing issue of social media and its impact on mental health. We're digging deep into the growing body of research that exposes the negative influence it can have, especially on young people. Expect an insightful talk about anxiety, depression, loneliness, and how they relate to the digital world we live in.
After that, we're heading straight into our Vocabuilder segment. Today's topic, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Not only will we delve into these trending terms, but we'll also discuss the ethical implications that come along with the advance of AI.
From there, we'll be launching our 101 series with an introduction to psychology, where we'll guide you through the basic principles and the myriad branches of this fascinating discipline.
Then we'll be diving into the mythical world of the ancient Greeks in the mythical narrative, exploring cosmogony according to Greek mythology, their fascinating account of world creation filled with primordial beings like Chaos, Gaia, Uranus, and Kronos.
Our question of the week will lead us on a journey through the human brain, asking how does the brain store memories?
In our Career Insights segment, we're focusing on mechanical engineering. We'll provide you with a detailed view into the world of these professionals who keep our machines running smoothly.
And what about those upcoming job interviews? In real-life English, we'll arm you with the right words and strategies to answer common interview questions confidently.
And no episode of English Plus would be complete without revisiting some history. In Echoes of the Past, we'll relive the struggles and victories of Abraham Lincoln and his Emancipation Proclamation.
Next, we delve into the age-old nature versus nurture debate in Know Thyself, examining how it shapes our understanding of human behavior.
Then, under our Project Phoenix umbrella, we'll take a reflexive journey through the works of Peter Paul Rubens with a special flavor added with poetry and music written by Phoenix.
In our Immortals section, we'll delve into the life and contributions of Albert Einstein, the theoretical physicist behind the theory of relativity.
Following that, we'll travel to Japan in our Cultural Spotlight section to explore the delicate art of origami, its origins and symbolism.
And then, brace yourself for a mysterious ride into the enigmatic Bermuda Triangle in our mystery segment.
Lastly, in Mythbuster, we're addressing the popular belief, is the Great Wall of China truly visible from space? Stay tuned to find out.
It's going to be a jam-packed episode, so get comfortable and join us on this journey through English Plus Podcast.
And remember, knowledge is power. And through English Plus, you have that power at your fingertips. Let's begin. It's not only about learning English, but it's about learning English in context and being curious and having a never-ending hunger for knowledge. That's what English Plus is all about. Stay tuned as we're about to embark on a great journey of knowledge together. Now, before we start with the first segment of the episode, I believe I owe you an explanation of the many changes that happened to English Plus recently. I have changed the format and frequency of the show many times, trying to pinpoint a format that works for almost all of you. Now, we both know that it's an impossible target to satisfy everyone, but I will keep trying to include something interesting and beneficial for all of you, our dear listeners. And about the frequency of the show, I know that you might have been confused when you received many notifications per week, some weeks, and then 2 in others, or even 1. That's definitely not ideal, nor is it professional, I will have to admit. But I'll be honest with you and say that even English Plus has been a big hit in terms of the numbers of listeners we have. You know, English Plus is among the top 1% of all podcasts from all categories globally. And that, my friends, is indeed a great achievement that I'm so proud of. And there's no bigger reward than knowing that people from every corner of the world are tuning in and listening to English Plus. I can never be proud enough. But to be honest, although English Plus is a big success in terms of you, my dear listeners, we have been struggling financially to keep the show going. And I will have to say that the contributions of a few patrons, and one in particular that I'm not going to mention right now because I haven't asked her if it is okay to mention her name on the show, but it's mainly her contributions and the contribution of a few other patrons that kept the show going for 4 years and 775 episodes and counting. Now don't worry, there's no bad news or anything. I'm not going to stop, but I can't keep going on producing a new episode every day. It costs me a lot of money and time to keep this up. So I hope you understand that from now on, we will have only one episode per week, but it's going to be a hell of an episode and much longer than my normal episodes. But don't worry, as I'm going to divide the content into chapters that you can access easily to listen to whichever segment you want or to pause and continue listening later. By doing this, I will save some time, which I will use to create more online courses and books to keep our English Plus ship afloat. I'll let you know when I publish something new, as you will definitely get a special discount. And now, back to the learning and fun. Let's dive right into our episode for today. So we're kicking things off today with a topic that's becoming increasingly relevant in our lives: social media. And specifically, we're talking about its impact on mental health. It's a big topic, isn't it?
Absolutely, it really is. I mean, who among us hasn't spent a good few minutes, or let's be honest, hours, scrolling through Facebook or Instagram? It's become such an integral part of our daily routines.
And while these platforms are designed to bring us closer together, to foster connections with people from all walks of life, we're seeing a rather disturbing trend, aren't we?
Yes, we are. There's growing evidence that these same platforms that connect us with others might also be contributing to feelings of anxiety, depression, and loneliness, particularly among young people. It's almost paradoxical.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about why this might be happening. Now, one factor that's often brought up is this culture of comparison that social media encourages. People are constantly exposed to carefully curated highlights of other people's lives, which, needless to say, doesn't always paint a realistic picture.
You're right. It's like running a race where you're constantly trying to catch up to the perfect lives you see on your screen. But remember, most of the time, you're only seeing a fragment of the truth. People tend to share their achievements and happy moments, not their struggles or low points.
We're comparing our behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. And this constant comparison can lead to feelings of inadequacy, which can be harmful to our mental health.
Another point is the pressure to be always on. There's an expectation to constantly engage with the posts, messages, and stories coming our way. This fear of missing out, or FOMO, as it's popularly called, can lead to anxiety.
That's a great point. The always-on culture can be incredibly draining. It's essential to remember that it's okay to disconnect, to take a break. Our mental well-being should always take precedence.
Indeed, and it's also important to note that while we are discussing the negative impacts, not all social media use is harmful. It can be a great tool for connecting with communities, sharing ideas, and even for learning. The key, as with many things, lies in moderation and mindful usage.
It's about finding a balance that works for you. And remember, if social media is causing stress or anxiety, it's important to seek help. Don't hesitate to reach out to a mental health professional. And with that being said, let's continue our discussion on social media and mental health. We'll delve into some of the most frequently asked questions we hear on this topic.
Yes, there are questions we've gathered from our listeners, social media followers, and also commonly asked ones on various platforms. Let's get started.
Our first question is, how can I prevent social media from affecting my mental health? What's your take, Phoenix?
Well, setting boundaries is key. Allocate specific times of the day for social media and try not to deviate from that schedule. Be sure to engage in other activities that you enjoy and that contribute to your overall well-being.
Great point. Now, our next question is it normal to feel depressed after using social media?
Now, while it's not normal in the sense of being healthy or desirable, it's unfortunately quite common. If you find that you're constantly feeling low after using social media, it might be the time to reassess your usage and consider seeking professional help.
And now for question 3. How do I stop comparing myself to others on social media?
Remember that social media is not a realistic representation of someone's life. Most people only post their highlights and often leave out the struggles. Try to focus on your own journey and personal growth rather than making comparisons.
And now for question 4. How can I handle the fear of missing out, or FOMO?
One way is by realizing that it's impossible and unnecessary to be part of everything. Prioritize your mental well-being and understand that it's okay to miss out on some things.
All right, now our fifth question. Can social media addiction be classified as a mental health issue?
Well, to this date, social media addiction is not officially recognized as a mental health disorder. However, excessive use can lead to negative effects on mental health and can resemble behavioral addiction.
All right, now we have another question. What are some signs that I'm spending too much time on social media?
Signs could include neglecting personal or professional responsibilities, feeling anxious or upset when you can't check social media, or using it as a way to escape problems or relieve feelings of guilt, anxiety, or depression.
All right, moving on to the next question. Are there any benefits of social media for mental health?
Absolutely. Social media can be a great platform for community building, finding support, raising mental health awareness, and even learning new coping strategies.
And what about this question? How can parents help their children navigate social media use?
Well, it's crucial for parents to educate their children about the potential impacts of social media, encourage open discussions about their online experiences, and set healthy boundaries for usage.
Very well. Let's move on to question 9. How does cyberbullying on social media affect mental health?
Cyberbullying can lead to symptoms of depression, anxiety, loneliness, and can even increase the risk of suicidal ideation. It's a serious issue that needs to be addressed promptly and effectively.
And finally, for the list of questions we have, it's question 10. Are there resources or apps that can help manage social media use?
Yes, there are many digital well-being tools and apps designed to monitor and limit screen time, like Apple's Screen Time or Google's Digital Well-being. Some social media platforms themselves offer usage insights as well.
Well, there you have it, folks. 10 common questions on social media and mental health. Remember, it's important to use these platforms responsibly and seek help if they're affecting your well-being. And now, let's continue our deep dive into the world of social media and mental health. In this segment, we'll explore some of the common misconceptions, myths, and mistakes about this topic and try to set the record straight. So let's jump right in.
Well, the first misconception that we often come across is that social media is the sole cause of mental health issues.
Well, that's a good one. While it's true that excessive use of social media can contribute to mental health problems, it's often more of a catalyst rather than a sole cause. It can amplify existing issues and vulnerabilities, but it doesn't create them in isolation.
Absolutely. And now for the next myth. Everyone else is happier than I am because that's what their social media shows.
Well, that is a big misconception. Remember, social media is a highlight reel. People tend to post their best moments and achievements, often omitting their struggles. Comparing your entire life to someone's edited moments can lead to feelings of inadequacy.
And now for the third common misconception. Disconnecting from social media entirely is the best solution.
Now, while disconnecting might be beneficial in certain cases, it's not the only solution. Social media can be a useful tool if used mindfully and in moderation. The key is to develop a healthy relationship with these platforms rather than completely avoiding them.
Another myth we often hear is more likes, shares, or followers equate to a better life or higher self-worth.
Very true, Phoenix. It's crucial to understand that likes, shares, or followers on social media don't define your worth or success. They are not a true reflection of your self-esteem or the quality of your life.
And next up, the common mistake of ignoring the signs of social media anxiety.
Well, it's essential to recognize and address symptoms of anxiety or depression linked to social media use. Ignoring these signs and continuing the same patterns can lead to more serious mental health issues. So you have to be careful.
And we've come to the last one for today, and that is the myth that social media use is harmful for everyone.
Well, while excessive and unregulated use of social media can have negative effects, it's not universally harmful. For many, it's a platform to connect, share ideas, and learn. The impact of social media largely depends on how we use it.
Now, always remember, folks, social media is just a tool. It's up to us to use it in a way that supports our mental health and well-being.
And that's a wrap on today's Let's Talk segment. Don't go anywhere as we're moving on to our Vocabuilder segment next, where we learn about AI and machine learning and a lot of interesting words along the way to add to our permanent vocabulary bank. Stay tuned. Now let's move on to our Vocabuilder part of the episode. As we always believe in English Plus, vocabulary should never be learned out of context. So let's start with our context, and for today, we're going to talk about the impacts and ethical intricacies of artificial intelligence and machine learning.
The fascinating world of artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, or ML. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to explore some mind-boggling concepts. Artificial intelligence refers to the broader field of computer science that aims to create intelligent machines capable of mimicking human intelligence. It involves designing algorithms and systems that can perform tasks requiring human-like cognitive abilities such as problem-solving, pattern recognition, and decision-making. Essentially, it's all about making computers smarter and more capable. Now let's zoom in on machine learning, which is a subset of AI. Machine learning focuses on enabling computers to learn and improve from experience without being explicitly programmed. Instead of giving machines specific instructions, we provide them with vast amounts of data and algorithms that allow them to learn patterns and make predictions or decisions based on that data. So in a nutshell, AI is the overarching field that encompasses the development of intelligent machines, while machine learning is a specific approach within AI that enables computers to learn from data. They go hand in hand like peanut butter and jelly, or in that case, like algorithms and data.
Excellent. And now let's dive straight into our story for today, or the context from which we're going to pick and learn some interesting keywords that you can add to your vocabulary bank. So, the impacts and ethical intricacies of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Artificial intelligence, or AI, and machine learning, or ML, have swiftly metamorphosed the socio-economic landscape, transforming mundane routines into technologically sophisticated paradigms. While the profound benefits cannot be underestimated, it is quintessential to acknowledge and address the ethical dilemmas that these advanced technologies pose. To commence, the omnipresence of AI and ML in our quotidian lives significantly augments efficiency, serving as a conduit for breakthroughs in fields ranging from healthcare to finance. AI's potential to revolutionize the medical sector through enhanced disease diagnosis and patient-centric care is remarkable. Similarly, the advent of ML in the financial sector expedites transaction processing, augments risk management, and fosters unprecedented innovation. However, the juxtaposition of AI and ML's unmitigated power raises intricate ethical implications. Principal among these concerns is privacy. With the propagation of AI systems collecting, analyzing, and disseminating data, the erosion of personal privacy is a salient risk. Anonymity is becoming increasingly elusive, and the sanctity of personal information is threatened by omnipotent AI surveillance. Moreover, the issue of bias is pernicious within AI and ML algorithms. As these systems are trained on human-generated data, they can inadvertently perpetuate the prejudices that exist within the data. This can result in discriminatory practices that can engender inequality, creating a divide between different societal sectors. Additionally, the economic impact of AI and ML, while monumental, has potential negative consequences. Job displacement due to automation is a looming challenge that requires proactive policy making and equitable reskilling strategies to mitigate societal ramifications. Lastly, the quandary of accountability in AI presents an intricate dilemma. Determining responsibility in cases of AI malfunction or harm becomes difficult, with repercussions for justice and societal trust. In conclusion, while AI and ML are undoubtedly transforming our world for the better, it is incumbent upon us to navigate their ethical quandaries with discernment, responsibility, and a commitment to equitable progress.
Well, my friends, that was our context for today. I know it's not easy, but after we decipher the key words, you will see that the text will get a lot easier.
All right, our dear listeners, it's time for our Vocabuilder segment. Today we're exploring some challenging words from a passage discussing the impact and ethical complexities of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So let's dive right in.
The first word we're looking at is intricacies. It's a noun referring to the complex or detailed aspects of something. In our context, it is used to denote the complicated ethical issues related to AI and ML.
Next up, we have metamorphosed. This is a verb that means to transform or change completely. It is used here to illustrate how AI and ML have drastically changed the socio-economic landscape.
Paradigms. Our third word is a noun that means a model or example. It's used in our text to denote the technologically advanced models that everyday routines have turned into due to AI and ML.
Moving on, we have quintessential. This adjective means representing the perfect example of a class or quality. In the passage, it underscores the importance of addressing ethical issues related to AI and ML.
And then we have omnipresence. This is a noun that means the state of being widespread or constantly encountered. It shows how AI and ML are an integral part of our daily lives.
And the next word, conduit, is a noun meaning a channel for conveying water or other types of fluid. In our context, it symbolizes the path for breakthroughs in various fields.
Then we have juxtaposition, which is a noun that means the fact of two things being seen or placed close together with contrasting effect. It's used here to highlight the power of AI and ML and the ethical implications they carry.
Up next is unmitigated. This is an adjective that means absolute or unqualified. In the text, it emphasizes the full extent of AI and ML's power.
And then we have propagation, which is a noun, and that means the action of spreading ideas, information, etc. to a lot of people. Here, it is used to describe the spreading of AI systems.
The next term is elusive, which is an adjective that means difficult to find, catch, or achieve. It is used in the text to describe the decreasing presence of anonymity.
Our 11th word is pernicious, which is an adjective that means having harmful effect, especially in a gradual or subtle way. It describes the dangerous aspect of bias within AI and ML algorithms.
Inadvertently is an adverb that means without intention or accidentally. It is used to describe how AI and ML can unintentionally replicate the biases present in the data they're trained on.
And then we have engender, which is a verb, and that means to cause or give rise to a feeling, situation, or condition. Here it is used to show how discriminatory practices could create inequality.
The word displacement, which is a noun, refers to the process of moving something from its place or position. In the passage, it refers to job losses caused by automation.
And then we have ramifications, which is a noun, and that means a complex or unwelcome consequence of an action or event. It is used in the text to talk about the societal consequences of job displacement.
Our 16th word is quandary, which is a noun that means a state of uncertainty over what to do in a difficult situation. It is used to discuss the issue of accountability in AI.
And then we have repercussions, which is a noun that refers to unintended consequences of an event or action, especially an unwelcome one. It is used here to mention the implications of AI malfunctions on justice and societal trust.
And then we have incumbent, which is an adjective that means necessary for someone as a duty or responsibility. In the conclusion, it is used to show our responsibility in navigating the ethical issues of AI and ML.
Next, we have discernment, which is a noun that means the ability to judge well. It is used here to show the need for good judgment in dealing with the ethical issues of AI and ML.
And finally, our last word is equitable. It is an adjective that means fair and impartial. In our context, it emphasizes the need for fairness in our progress with AI and ML.
And there you have it, folks, 20 complex words from our passage about AI and ML. We hope you've learned something new, and don't forget to try and use these words in your daily conversations.
Thank you, Phoenix. That was all for our Vocabuilder segment, my friends. I hope you found the keywords we shared with you interesting and useful, and remember that you can practice these words on our website, EnglishPlusPodcast.com. Follow the link you can find in the description of the episode to go to the custom post we have created for this episode with an interactive transcript of the episode, interactive activities to learn the keywords we just talked about, and much more. And now, let's move on to the next segment of our show today, the 101 series. In our 101 series segment today, we will give you a quick introduction to psychology. It's going to be very interesting and very informative, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Alright, now we're switching gears a bit. We're starting our 101 series today with an introduction to a field that I know many of you are interested in: psychology.
Oh, psychology, the study of the mind and behavior. I've always found it fascinating how it can help us understand everything from our individual quirks to the ways we interact with others in society.
Exactly. It's such a broad and diverse field. One of the foundational principles of psychology is that our mental processes, our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions influence our actions.
And isn't it amazing how these mental processes can vary from person to person? It's like each of us is carrying around our own unique version of reality in our heads.
Absolutely. And that's what makes psychology so complex and interesting. Now, when we talk about psychology, we're actually talking about a number of different branches, each with its own focus.
Right, like clinical psychology, which focuses on diagnosing and treating mental disorders. And then there's social psychology that explores how we interact with others and how those interactions shape our behaviors and beliefs.
Then we have developmental psychology, which looks at how we grow and change over the course of our lives, from infancy all the way to old age. There's also cognitive psychology, which studies our thought processes and how we acquire, process, and store information.
And let's not forget about the exciting field of neuropsychology, where we delve into the intricate workings of the brain and how it affects behavior. We're talking about everything from emotions and memory to perception and motor skills.
Indeed, and these are just a few of the many branches. Each branch of psychology offers its own unique lens through which to explore the complexities of the human mind and behavior.
Absolutely. And whether we realize it or not, psychology is always at play in our lives. It helps us understand ourselves better, our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, and it also helps us navigate our relationships with others more effectively.
With a better understanding of psychology, we can become more empathetic, improve our communication, and generally enhance our quality of life.
So before we wrap up our segment on psychology, let's touch on some of the lesser known but equally fascinating aspects of the field. Ever heard of cognitive dissonance?
Oh, it's a riveting concept. Basically, it's the discomfort we experience when we hold two conflicting beliefs or when our actions contradict our beliefs. Our minds don't like this conflict and strive to reduce it.
Exactly. An everyday example could be someone who values health but also smokes. The contradiction can cause discomfort and lead to change. Maybe they'll quit smoking or alternatively change their belief about its health impact.
Exactly. And that's just one of the many theories in psychology that help us understand human behavior. Another interesting concept is the halo effect. You know how sometimes when we think highly of a person in one aspect, we tend to have a positive view of them in other aspects too, even without knowing them well. That's the halo effect.
I see. So, we find someone attractive, we might also rate them higher on intelligence or kindness. It's a bias we might not even be aware of.
Indeed. And speaking of biases, confirmation bias is another fascinating concept. It's our tendency to favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs while ignoring or downplaying information that contradicts them.
So true. It's like when you believe in a particular political stance, so you tend to seek out news outlets or opinions that align with your belief. And this isn't because we're stubborn or unwilling to accept other viewpoints. It's a natural tendency our minds have to maintain consistency in our beliefs.
Right. And these are just a few examples. Psychology is full of fascinating theories and concepts that can give us valuable insights into why we think and behave the way we do. It's a field that never stops asking why and how.
There's so much more to psychology that we could ever cover in one discussion, but we hope this gives you a taste of the complexity and richness of this field.
Well, here's a thought. We've discussed quite a bit about psychology and its different facets, but it's also important to acknowledge that there are some common misconceptions about this field that people often believe, right?
Absolutely. One of the biggest misconceptions is that psychology is just common sense. But in reality, many findings in psychology are counterintuitive. For example, you'd think that giving people more options would make them happier, right? But research shows that too many options can actually lead to decision paralysis and decreased satisfaction.
Right. It's known as the paradox of choice. Another common myth is that we only use 10% of our brains. Well, this one has been debunked by neuroscientists. We use virtually every part of the brain, and most of the brain is active almost all the time.
Indeed, another misconception that persists is that venting your anger is cathartic and can help reduce anger. However, research in psychology has shown that venting can actually escalate anger and aggression rather than reduce them.
And let's not forget the myth about human memory. It's often believed to work like a video recorder, accurately documenting events. In truth, our memories are far from perfect. They're malleable and can be influenced by many factors, leading us to remember things not exactly as they happened.
And of course, there's the common myth that opposites attract. While it's true for magnets, in human relationships, research often shows that we're more likely to be attracted to those who are similar to us in attitudes, values, and backgrounds.
Well, these misconceptions highlight why it's so important to rely on scientific research in psychology rather than just our intuitions or even common sense.
Well, that's a wrap for this segment. I hope you learned things about psychology that you didn't know before. And remember, we've just scratched the surface here. It's the 101 series after all, but it is something we need to know about no matter what we do in life. And now, let's move on to our next segment, to the world of gods, heroes, and monsters. Don't go anywhere, as next we'll be talking about the creation of the world story according to Greek mythology. Alright, my dear listeners, we're stepping back in time now, deep into the heart of ancient Greek mythology. This is one of my favorite segments, the mythical narrative. Today we're delving into the captivating stories of how the ancient Greeks believed the world was created.
Starting with chaos. Not chaos in the way we typically understand it, disorder and confusion, but chaos as the first of the primordial gods. According to Greek mythology, in the beginning there was chaos, the gaping void from which everything else emerged.
Imagine a great formless expanse. From this primordial void, Gaia, the Earth, came into existence. Gaia represented not just the physical planet, but also the nurturing and sustaining mother figure.
Right. The narrative goes that Gaia gave birth to Uranus, or the sky, creating the first duet of earth and sky, terrain and heavens. The Greeks viewed these entities as literal gods, embodying the world as they know it.
And from Gaia and Uranus, the world started filling with other divine beings. But their relationship wasn't without conflict. Uranus, the sky, wasn't exactly father of the year. He imprisoned some of his children deep within Gaia, causing her great pain.
This leads us to the story of Kronos. Urged by his mother Gaia, Kronos, one of the Titans, overthrows his father Uranus to become the new ruler. He's the embodiment of time and the ages, his reign marking the golden age in Greek mythology.
Exactly. But as it often goes in these stories, the son who overthrows the father is prophesied to be overthrown by his own son. And despite his attempts to avoid this fate, that son, Zeus, does eventually overthrow Kronos, establishing the new era of the Olympian gods.
It's quite a dramatic story, isn't it? These ancient myths give us a fascinating glimpse into how the ancient Greeks understood the world around them. They saw divine drama in the rising and setting of the sun, the changing of seasons, the very structure of the earth and sky.
Indeed, and while our scientific understanding of the world's creation is very different today, there's something deeply human about these ancient stories. They reflect our innate desire to make sense of the world, to give it a narrative.
That's absolutely true. And our dear listeners, while we've given you just a taste of these ancient Greek creation myths, there's so much more depth and nuance to explore. Perhaps we've sparked your curiosity to delve further into these fascinating stories.
Absolutely. So folks, as we conclude our journey through the Greek creation myth, remember, there are always more stories to discover, more knowledge to glean, and more understanding to gain. That's nowhere near the end of our journey today in English Plus, as there's still much to learn in our episode for today. We told you at the beginning of the episode that we're going to create only one episode per week, but it's going to be a hell of an episode. So stay tuned, as next we're going to have a very interesting short and sweet segment, and that is our question of the week. Don't go anywhere. Now, Danny, do you know what time it is?
Well, judging by that glint in your eye, Phoenix, I'd say it's time for our question of the week.
Yes, indeed, and this week's question is a real brain teaser, literally. It's all about our gray matter. How does the brain store memories?
Oh, a question that is close to my heart, Phoenix, or should I say close to my brain?
Quite right. So let's dive right in. Memories are stored in the brain as patterns of synaptic connections between neurons. And these connections, or synapses, are where neurons communicate with each other, with certain patterns of synapses forming to represent each memory.
It's like a cosmic dance of electrical impulses, isn't it? When you learn something new or have a new experience, your brain forms a new connection. If that knowledge or experience is repeated, the connection gets stronger. This process is known as synaptic plasticity.
Indeed. And this dance isn't confined to one part of the brain. Different types of memories are stored in different areas. For example, the hippocampus is critical for forming and storing declarative memories, those that involve facts and events.
So when I remember that embarrassing thing I did at the office party 5 years ago, I have my hippocampus to thank. Great.
Afraid so, Danny. Meanwhile, our motor skills, like riding a bike or playing a musical instrument, are stored in the cerebellum. It's a different area of the brain altogether.
So the brain is kind of like a super complex filing system. Every time we create a memory, the brain files it away in the right cabinet. Or, of course, the right region.
That's a great analogy. But remember, it's not just about storing memories. It's also about retrieving them. And that can be influenced by all sorts of factors like our emotions, other memories, and even our environment.
So what you're saying is, next time I forget where I put my keys, I can blame it on the weather?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, Danny. But sure, why not?
Alright, so there you have it, folks. That's a simplified take on how our amazing brains store memories. Of course, the full picture is way more complex. But hopefully, we've given you a good starting point to delve deeper into the wonders of the human brain. And don't forget, if you've got a burning question you'd love to answer, just drop us a line. Email us at ask@englishpluspodcast.com. Who knows, your question might be the next one we tackle here on English Plus Podcast.
So that was our question of the week. Next up, we're going to talk about some career insights, and you will decide if mechanical engineering is a career you might be interested in. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. And we're back, folks. Now, how many of you have wondered what it's like to be a mechanical engineer, to dive into the world of gears, levers, and complex machinery?
Oh, I sure have, Phoenix. And today, we're going to do just that. Welcome to our Career Insights segment, where we take a deep dive into various professions. Today, it's all about mechanical engineering.
Now, what exactly do mechanical engineers do, Danny? Don't they just, engineer stuff?
Well, that's one way to put it, Phoenix. But let's be a bit more precise. Mechanical engineering is one of the broadest engineering disciplines, and it involves the design, analysis, and manufacturing of mechanical systems.
So, we're talking about everything from small individual parts and devices like micromechanical sensors to large systems like spacecraft and machine tools. That's a pretty big range.
Absolutely. It's not just the scale that varies, but also the industries. Mechanical engineers can be found in automotive, aerospace, energy, medical, and many more sectors. If there's a machine involved, you can bet there's a mechanical engineer not too far away.
It's also a profession that requires a solid foundation in mathematics and physics, right?
That's right. Mechanical engineers need to understand the core concepts of mechanics, kinematics, thermodynamics, fluid mechanics, and energy. But it's not just about theory. They also need strong problem-solving skills to apply these principles to real-world challenges.
So, if you love both science and creative problem-solving, this might be the right career path for you. It sounds like a field where you're constantly learning and adapting.
You hit the nail on the head. And let's not forget about the growing intersection of traditional mechanical engineering with technology. With advancements in areas like 3D printing, robotics, and artificial intelligence, today's mechanical engineers need to be tech savvy too.
So it's old school mechanics meets cutting edge technology. I like that, Danny. It sounds like a career in mechanical engineering can be both challenging and rewarding.
That's exactly right. All right, let's delve a bit deeper into the world of mechanical engineering. After all, choosing a career is a big decision.
You're right, and it's essential to consider what qualities and interests someone should have to thrive in mechanical engineering. To start with, an affinity for mathematics and physics is a must, as these subjects form the foundation of the discipline.
Absolutely. But it's not just about academic interests, right? I mean, a successful mechanical engineer also needs to be a problem solver, someone who enjoys tackling challenges head-on and isn't deterred by complex issues.
A keen analytical mind is crucial in this field, and we should also mention creativity. While it might not be the first trait that comes to mind, innovation is vital in engineering. It's about finding new solutions, inventing new technologies, and continuously pushing boundaries.
Also, teamwork is often a big part of the job. Whether it's working with other engineers on a project, communicating with clients, or coordinating with manufacturers, being able to work well with others is a valuable skill.
And let's not forget about the technological aspect. We mentioned it earlier, but it's worth emphasizing that mechanical engineers need to be comfortable with technology and eager to keep learning as new tools and techniques emerge.
Well, that's a good point. The field is ever evolving, so staying adaptable and keeping up to date with the latest advancements is crucial.
So, to our listeners pondering a career in mechanical engineering, if you're passionate about problem solving, innovation, and technology, and you love the idea of designing and building machinery, this could be a fantastic fit.
And let's not forget, mechanical engineers play a vital role in shaping our world, from the vehicles we drive to the renewable energy technologies that power our homes. If you want a career where you can make a tangible difference, this could be it.
As always, we encourage everyone to research and explore as much as possible when considering career choices. Speak to professionals in the field, engage with online communities, and never stop asking questions.
Absolutely. The more you know, the better equipped you are to make an informed decision. And who knows, you might just find that mechanical engineering is your dream career.
So that was all we wanted to share with you in our career insights, and now it's time to learn some real English. In our next segment, we're going to learn how to answer common interview questions in English. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back, our dear listeners. Now let's dive into some real-life English. Today we're focusing on something we all face at some point: job interviews.
A thrilling, yet nerve-wracking experience. But don't worry, folks, we've got some tips to help you nail it, especially if English is your second language.
Now let's start with one of the most common interview questions. Tell me about yourself. Now, this isn't an invitation to recount your life story. Instead, it's your chance to highlight your skills and experiences relevant to the job.
A good structure could be present, past, and future. Start with your current role, then discuss your past experiences and finish with why you're excited about the potential role.
And here's a key phrase you could use. Currently, I am a something, where I do this and that. Previously, I was a whatever you used to do, where I did this and that. I'm really excited about this opportunity because whatever your reasons are.
Now, another typical question is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? This is where you want to align your strengths with the job requirements and to be honest but strategic about your weaknesses.
Definitely. You could say something like, one of my strengths is, whatever it is, which I believe would be beneficial for in this role. Of course, here you have to fill in the blanks. And as for a weakness, I would say whatever your weakness is. However, I am actively working on improving in this area by doing this, doing that. Of course, here the blanks all depend on your own situation and your own specific strengths and weaknesses.
And let's not forget about the classic question. Why do you want this job? Now here, it's crucial to be specific about why the role and the company appeal to you. Show you've done your homework.
An answer could be, I'm interested in this role because I admire how your company does this and that, and I can see myself contributing by doing this or doing that. Of course, these are all sample answers, but you can use these answers and then fill in the blanks with your own words and experience.
Remember, folks, preparing your answers in advance will give you confidence, but try not to memorize them word for word. You want to sound natural, not robotic. And practice makes perfect. Consider practicing with a friend or even in front of a mirror.
That's a very good idea indeed. So, our dear listeners, we're continuing our real-life English segment, focusing on job interviews. Remember, our goal is to help you feel confident and well-prepared, especially if English isn't your first language.
That's right, Phoenix. Now, let's talk about a question that can seem tricky. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? The employer wants to understand your career goals and if they align with the company's direction.
Exactly. A good way to answer could be, in 5 years, I would like to have progress to a role where I can do this or that. I'm really interested in whatever you are interested in, and this job would provide the opportunity to grow in that direction.
Another common question is, can you describe a challenging situation at work and how you handled it? Now, the interviewer wants to know about your problem-solving skills. Be specific about the situation, what action you took, and the positive outcome that resulted.
Indeed, a possible way to respond might be, in my previous role at whatever, we faced a challenge when you describe the challenge. I took the initiative to do this and that, which resulted in whatever the result was. It was a valuable learning experience. Now here, of course, remember to be specific in your answer.
Great stuff. Now moving on, let's talk about the end of the interview. It's always a good idea to ask the interviewer a few questions. It shows your interest in the role and the company.
Now, some questions you could ask include, what does a typical day look like in this role? Or, what are the most important qualities for someone to excel in this position?
And here's a tip. During the interview, make sure to listen actively. This means maintaining eye contact, nodding when appropriate, and using phrases like, I see, that makes sense, or could you tell me more about whatever it is. This shows the interviewer that you're engaged.
Also, after the interview, it's important to send a thank you note to the interviewer. You can say something like, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I enjoyed learning about whatever the position is, and I'm very interested in the opportunity at your company. Of course, to work, to be whatever the job is at your company.
Remember, folks, practice and preparation go a long way in making a good impression in a job interview. Don't forget to use these phrases and tips to boost your confidence.
And that wraps up our segment on real-life English job interviews. Stay tuned as we dive into the past with our next segment on Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back, folks. Now it's time to venture into the echoes of the past. Our spotlight today falls on one of the most critical events in American history, Abraham Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation.
Story of conviction and courage indeed. This was the turning point in the fight against slavery in America, a cause Lincoln held dear.
Born into a humble family, Lincoln had a deep understanding of human rights. He once said, "Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally."
So, let's dive into the tale. Lincoln, who became the 16th President of the United States in 1861, was a member of the Republican Party, a party committed to the abolition of slavery.
However, the country was deeply divided on this issue, with the southern states staunchly supporting slavery. This division eventually led to the Civil War in 1861, the Northern Union states against the Southern Confederate States.
And amid this, Lincoln saw an opportunity to strike a severe blow to the institution of slavery. On September the 22nd, 1862, he issued a preliminary version of the Emancipation Proclamation.
This document declared that if the Southern states did not cease their rebellion by January the 1st, 1863, then their slaves would be set free. But of course, the Confederacy did not yield, and so Lincoln issued the final Emancipation Proclamation.
That's right. That on the first day of January, all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state shall be thenceforward, and forever free. Those were his words.
These words, although they didn't end slavery outright, as the 13th Amendment did that in 1865, they changed the character of the war and the nation. The fight was now not just for union, but also for human freedom.
It also allowed the Union to recruit black soldiers, over 200,000 by the war's end who were instrumental in the Union's victory.
Indeed, Lincoln's courage and steadfastness in the face of opposition led to a significant turning point in the fight against slavery. It's a reminder that the arc of victory may be long, but it indeed bends toward justice.
And folks, that was the story of Lincoln and the Emancipation Proclamation, a story of how one man's resolve helped change the course of history. Up next, we're going to talk about nature versus nurture, the long debate, and one that will help us know ourselves better in our psychology segment. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.
Welcome back, our dear listeners. Now we're shifting gears to delve into our Know Thyself segment. Our topic today, the long-standing debate of nature versus nurture.
A fascinating subject indeed, Phoenix. This debate is at the core of understanding human behavior and development. Essentially, it revolves around the influence of genetic inheritance, which is nature, and environmental factors, which is nurture, on our personality, behavior, intelligence, and so on.
That's right. On one side, we have the nature advocates who argue that our genetic makeup predetermines our traits. In other words, we're born with certain characteristics, abilities, and potential.
And on the other side, we have the nurture proponents who believe that our environment, upbringing, and life experiences shape us. They contend that our behavior is learned and acquired after birth.
This debate also influences how we approach various fields like psychology, biology, and education. For example, do we attribute a child's excellent performance in mathematics to their inherited intelligence, nature? Or is it because of their stimulating home environment and dedicated teachers, which is nurture?
And it goes deeper, considering questions like, are people born with an inherent disposition to mental health issues, or can these arise solely due to stressful and traumatic life experiences?
The truth, as per modern consensus, seems to lie somewhere in the middle. Many psychologists and biologists now believe that nature and nurture interact in complex ways to shape who we are. This approach is often called the interactionist perspective.
That's right. An individual's genetic predisposition might affect how they respond to their environment, and vice versa. Environmental factors might influence the expression of genes, a concept known as epigenetics.
So, in essence, the nature versus nurture debate is about understanding the complex interplay of genetics and environment in shaping human behavior. It's not about picking sides, but acknowledging the significant role of both influences.
And with that, folks, we hope you have a better understanding of this significant debate in human development and behavior. Coming up next, we're diving into poetry, music, and art with our host D.H. Phoenix reflecting on the works of Peter Paul Rubens in our Project Phoenix segment. Stay tuned, Phoenix will be right back.
Our dear listeners, my name is D.H. Phoenix, and I wrote poems inspired by 5 of Peter Paul Rubens' masterpieces. I'm here today to talk to you about my work and to share with you some of the thoughts and feelings that inspired these poems. Rubens was a master of Baroque painting, and his work is characterized by its use of bold colors, dramatic lighting, and dynamic figures. His paintings often depict scenes from mythology, religion, and history, and they are known for their emotional intensity. When I first encountered Rubens' work, I was immediately drawn to its power and beauty. I was particularly struck by the way that he was able to capture the human experience in all its complexity. His paintings are full of passion, love, loss, and longing, and they speak to the universal human condition. I was inspired to write these poems as a way of exploring my own response to Rubens' work. I wanted to use the power of poetry to capture the emotional impact of these paintings and to share my own thoughts and feelings about them. And this is part of my bigger poetry and music project called Project Phoenix. I hope to share more about this project with you in the episodes to come, but today let me tell you more about what I wrote reflecting on the work of Peter Paul Rubens. In the poem Cain Slaying Abel, I explore the dynamics of love, resentment, and the ultimate consequences of unchecked envy. This poem is written from the perspective of Abel, and it offers a unique and deeply personal understanding of the narrative. In the poem Daniel in the Lion's Den, I explore the themes of faith, hope, and redemption. The poem is written from the perspective of Daniel, and it tells the story of his miraculous survival in the lion's den. In the poem Samson and Delilah, I explore the themes of love, betrayal, and revenge. The poem is written from the perspective of Samson, and it tells the story of his downfall at the hands of Delilah. In the poem The Judgment of Paris, I explore the themes of beauty, desire, and temptation. The poem tells the story of Paris's decision to award the golden apple to Aphrodite and the consequences of his choice. And finally, there's the poem on Rubens' The Consequences of War painting. And for this one, I'm not going to tell you anything about it, I'm going to share it with you. The poem is called Don't Go. Don't go. I can't do it all over again, washing the stains when you come back. And I've been here for long. I know you never come back. Don't go each time a piece of you is lost. The dust upon your heart builds up dust. And I can't be near anymore that monster in my bed I no longer trust. Don't go. Thousands will live. Don't be in bars a drunken hero searching in vain for glories. You've never been any good at telling stories. Don't go. I lost many heroes in the fray. They're right here still, you'll say. Look again. They're only shadows of those great men they once were. Don't go about another way to stir. Don't go. I won't be manning windows with sleepy eyes and weary heart, waiting for your return. When you kill men and women and children, you're no longer my own. Well, that was the poem. I hope that you will enjoy reading these poems and that they will inspire you to explore Rubens' work for yourself. There is a link in the description of the episode that will lead you to the webpage where you can find the poems and one piece of music I wrote for one of the poems. If you're interested to read and listen to more, follow the link you can find in the description of the episode. I hope you like my poetry, my music, and down the line, I will share some of my stories and novels with you as well. But now, it's time to turn our attention to the next segment in our episode today, and we will be talking about a giant in the world of physics. I'm sure you've all narrowed it down to two or even one person. We're going to talk about Albert Einstein. So don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Now, folks, let's turn back the hands of time to look at a real immortal of science and technology.
You've probably heard his name. Heck, you've probably used his name when referring to a genius. Yes, we're talking about Albert Einstein.
Born in Germany in 1879, Einstein revolutionized our understanding of the natural world with his theory of relativity.
The man was truly ahead of his time. He gave us the most famous equation in the world, E equals mc squared, which essentially means energy equals mass times the speed of light squared.
This equation underpins the theory of relativity and has had profound implications for everything from nuclear energy to GPS systems.
And let's not forget his work on the photoelectric effect, which ultimately laid the groundwork for the quantum theory.
Exactly. That's the work that won him the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921.
Indeed, but it's not just his scientific contributions that make him an immortal. Einstein was a pacifist, a civil rights advocate, and a humanitarian. He used his fame to advance his political and social causes.
True, he was a brilliant scientist and an exceptional human being. His life and work continue to inspire scientists and laymen alike.
So here's to Albert Einstein, the immortal who forever changed how we understand the universe.
And speaking of understanding, up next, we're diving into the delicate and intricate world of Japanese origami. Prepare to unfold the mysteries of this ancient art form. Stay tuned.
Now let's take a step into a world where paper takes on a whole new meaning. We're talking about the intricate and beautiful art of Japanese origami.
Origami is a combination of two Japanese words, ori, meaning to fold, and kami, meaning paper. And that's essentially what origami is, the art of folding paper.
But it's not just about making a few folds here and there. Origami is an art form with deep cultural significance. In Japan, it has been used in ceremonies and has even been seen as a symbol of good luck.
Yes, think about the paper crane or orizuru. It's perhaps the most famous origami design and it's often associated with peace. The legend says that if you fold 1,000 paper cranes, your wish will come true.
It's not just the end product that matters. The process of folding origami is seen as therapeutic, almost meditative. It requires focus, precision, and patience, qualities that are highly valued in Japanese culture.
Exactly. And the beauty of origami is that it starts with just a simple flat square of paper. With just a series of folds, that paper can be transformed into almost anything. A bird, a flower, even a complex dragon. It's a testament to the power of creativity and transformation.
And while we may not be able to master the art of origami in a single day, we can definitely appreciate the skill, history, and culture behind it.
Absolutely. So next time you see a piece of paper, remember it has the potential to be something amazing. Just like how ordinary moments in life can turn into extraordinary experiences.
And speaking of extraordinary experiences, up next we're sailing into the heart of a long-standing mystery. Stay tuned as we unravel the enigma of the Bermuda Triangle.
Now we turn our attention to one of the most enduring mysteries of the modern world, the Bermuda Triangle.
Also known as the Devil's Triangle. This area stretches between Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. It's been the subject of countless books, movies, and speculation.
Absolutely. It's earned its mysterious reputation due to a number of ships and aircrafts reportedly vanishing without a trace in its waters.
But here's the thing, despite its ominous reputation, there's actually no scientific evidence to support the idea that the Bermuda Triangle is any more dangerous than any other part of the ocean.
That's right. The US government doesn't even recognize the Bermuda Triangle as an actual geographic region or danger zone.
The US Coast Guard has gone on record stating that they don't believe that ships and planes disappear in the area at any rate that would exceed statistical norms.
In fact, a 2013 study from the Worldwide Fund for Nature listed the world's 10 most dangerous waters for shipping, but the Bermuda Triangle didn't even make the list.
So what about the disappearances? Many can be attributed to human error, mechanical failure, unpredictable weather, and the Gulf Stream's strong current.
Exactly. The Bermuda Triangle is no more or less mysterious than any other patch of ocean when it comes to disappearing vessels.
But the legends persist, fueled by our love for a good mystery. And let's be honest, sometimes a little mystery keeps life interesting.
Absolutely. And speaking of mysteries and misconceptions, up next we have our Mythbuster segment where we will debunk a famous myth. Is the Great Wall of China really visible from space? Stay tuned to find out. Okay, our dear listeners, it's time to bust a myth that has been floating around for quite some time. You might have heard that the Great Wall of China is so big that it's visible from space.
That's right. This claim has been circulating since at least 1932, and it was even stated by astronaut Yang Liwei, China's first man in space. But is it true?
Well, let's look at the facts. The Great Wall of China, as massive as it is, stretching over 13,000 miles, actually isn't very wide. Most sections measure less than 30 feet in width.
And from a low Earth orbit, astronauts are looking at Earth from a distance of about 200 miles. At that distance, it's incredibly difficult to see something as thin as the Great Wall without the aid of lenses.
Right. Even NASA has stated that the Great Wall is barely visible and only under nearly perfect conditions. It's no more conspicuous than other parts of the world's built infrastructure.
Exactly. So the truth is, contrary to popular belief, the Great Wall of China is not easily visible from space with the naked eye.
Myth busted. It's always good to dig a little deeper and not take everything we hear at face value.
And that, folks, brings us to the end of another riveting episode of English Plus. From the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle to psychology, vocabulary building, career insights, and much more, we've traveled through time, myth, science, and language together.
We hope you've enjoyed today's journey as much as we have. We've learned a lot while preparing for this episode, and I hope we got you to share our enthusiasm for knowledge, English, and literature. Remember, it's our curiosity and thirst for knowledge that keep us growing.
And while we're talking about growth, we can't forget about the growth of this podcast, and that's where you, our wonderful listeners, come in.
If you've enjoyed this episode, take a moment to rate and review us on your podcast platform of choice. It helps us reach more people, and your feedback helps us make the show even better.
And if you want to dive deeper, leave a comment or question. We love hearing your thoughts, and we're always up for a good discussion.
And if you feel like you want to take that extra step, consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Your support allows us to keep doing what we love, bringing you diverse and interesting topics in every episode.
Every little bit counts. From sharing an episode with a friend to becoming a patron, your support is what fuels this show.
So until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember to keep listening to your English Plus.
Stay curious and never stop learning with English Plus. We'll see you next time.